I'm ready to go because, as I said, we are talking about the American dream today. So, what is the American dream? Is it the same for you? Is it the same for me? Is it the same for everybody? Um, like, I think the basic premise for a lot of people is you start from humble beginnings. You're in the hood, lower income family, whatever it is. You work your way up. You work very hard, and you make something out of yourself. And next thing you know, you're a big success. You're happy. You have the family, or maybe you're rich, or whatever it is. I think it is different for different people depending on what you want and what you're looking to do. Now, first thing, before I jump into what I really want to talk about, I do want to say that I think the American dream is bullshit. I think it's a big fat lie, because the big premise is that you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and next thing you know, you're going to just make it. You just work hard and you just keep going, you're going to make it. Now, listen, I'm an athlete where hard work is the cornerstone of who I am. So I'm not saying hard work is not important. This is very important. But show of hands, how many people do you know, or it could be you yourself, who is working very hard at this moment and they're still broke? Raise your hand. How many people you know, maybe parents, grandparents, great grandparents, who've worked hard their whole lives and they didn't have much to show for it? So this notion that hard work all of a sudden just fixes everything is bullshit. And that's the thing I want to talk about, and how I will do things differently. Like, if you just want it bad enough, no, it doesn't work that way. Because let's be honest, it does take money to make more money. I can't speak for you, but I don't have a trust fund that my parents set up for me when I was a baby with millions of dollars in it. I don't have a rich family that I can rely on if I don't feel like working, or if I don't feel like doing anything. I don't have any of the things that more wealthy individuals have given their children. So, I'm trying to earn it myself. But here's the thing. I know hard work alone is not going to get me anywhere. I worked very hard for a long time. I've done physical labor. I've been in construction. I've been custodial. I've done all types of physical tasks. And all it did is get me a bad back, tired, sore feet, and a measly paycheck. That's why I'm so big on investing. Instead of me working hard, swinging a hammer in the hot sun, hauling away dirt and bricks, putting up sheetrock, I'm actually letting my money do the work for me. They're running out, fixing the things, doing the things, as I stay home and just chill. Now, in this case, it's with land. Now, what will happen though if I needed to start all over again? Well, I don't know. Let's actually talk about that, because I do know this: ain't no one gonna hand me shit if I decide to start over again. If I went to the bank right now, 95% of a chance that I'm not gonna get any type of loan. So it's not like I can just go and just hey, I need some money to get started again. No. So if I had to start all over, how would I do it? So that's what I want to talk about. Now, in this, not only am I going to show you what to do if I were to have to start over, but this is kind of like what I take my people who I work with, my clients, my students, however you want to call them, and how we set up our action plan together so we can actually have something to work toward. All right. So the first thing is first, before you can do anything, is understand what the hell you want. Now, I'm gonna look at this in two different perspectives. One, as a young adult, maybe in my early 20s or something. And then let's say I just lost everything today and I had to start all over again. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I have millions of dollars in the bank. I don't. I had a 9-to-5 job for a long time. And, when I left that, I racked up a ton of debt. So I'm climbing out of that slowly. So I'm doing much better now, of course, but there's still work to be done. But with that said, if I were to lose everything, this is what I would do. All right, first, let me define my American dream, or what I want out of my life. I'm not saying I'm gonna work hard for it and all that. I'm saying, what is it that I want? How do I want to live my daily life? Now, this is the most important thing that a lot of people gloss over, and this is the reason why they get shiny object syndrome. They procrastinate. They never get anywhere, because they don't know what they're working toward. I mean, they may have a nebulous idea. Oh, I want to make money for my family. I want generational wealth. I want to create a legacy. Those things sound great, but how? Why do you want those things? How does it look to you? When do you want it by? How do you know if you've achieved it? If you don't have the answers to those questions ready to go, boom, 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 It's what are you going to do? You got to understand that. So it's not a bad thing, but understand this is the heart of the process. Taking the time, turn off social media, turn off your TV, turn off all that, and then just see, what the hell do I want? How do I know when I have it? If it's something material, which is nothing wrong with that, if I do get that, is that going to make me satisfied and everything else can stay the same in my life? Or do everything has to change? Is it different relationships I want? Is it different types of people I want in my life? Do I want to live in a different area, a different state? Do I want to live in a different income bracket or tax bracket? These are the things that are very important to understand, because if you don't understand those things, how are you going to make a plan to move towards it? Now, here's the thing. For me personally, I want more freedom with my time. I want to play more basketball. I want to be able to work on my tech projects. I want to be able to work on my car projects and then have the money to fund those car projects. Because if you're in the cars, you know, cars aren't cheap. You know, and the more you do with the car, and I've been talking about just modifying it, but like actually using it for like, you know, racing. So you have autocross, you have track days, you have drag racing, you got drifting, you got all types of different things. And the more times you're actually using your car in those ways, the more things break, the more things get worn out, the more things, you need money for that. And you need the time to be able to do that. I want to be able to do those things. I want to be able to live in a nice piece of land, so I have the space to work on these things, right? So right now I'm defining what I want, and understanding what I want is going to help me understand, okay, what do I need to achieve those things? And that is going to be the key. All right, this damn thing, mute notifications. Yes, next. Okay, now, with that said, understand what you want out of your life. Understand it to the smallest detail. There's no detail too small. If you don't know that, again, you can't move forward. Now that you know these things, we're going to move forward. The next thing to do is make an action plan. What do I mean by an action plan? Well, how are you going to start to get the things that you want? How are you going to start to live that lifestyle that you want to live? What does it take from you? Do you need to acquire new skills? Do you need to acquire new partnerships? Do you need to acquire a different way of thinking? Of course, you're going to need, you know, resources like money and time and you know, things like that. But you know, that's obvious. I'm talking about something that you can do right now. Just understand where you are. Again, said it before, I say it again. If you don't know where you are, it's hard to know where you're going. It's like saying, hey, I want to actually make it to third and Williams, you know, corner here in San Francisco. I was like, all right, I'll give you directions. Where are you at now? Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know which way to tell you to go. I don't know if to tell you to go north, south, east, or west. I don't know if it's going to be a long drive or a short drive. You might even be there already, you know, not even realize it. So you got to understand that. This is what the action plan is. Now, here's the big thing that a lot of people don't do. They don't put a due date on any of the items in their plan. So let's do land in the way I would do it if I'm starting over. First off, I would decide, hey, I got a week to figure out the 1, 2, or 3 areas I want to invest in. Now, how do I figure out the areas I want to invest in? Well, I look at the budget I have available. If I have very little budget, then I'm looking at a county that gives me all the information I need easily and for free. Meaning I can see who owns the property, I can see what it looks like, I can see how much taxes they may owe, and then probably the deed, the / chain title that you can kind of see at an overview. You don't need to see like the actual documents, but like, okay, I can see how the property was passed on from one person to the next. Now that last part isn't that important, but understanding where the property is, what it kind of looks like, how much that person may owe in back taxes, getting the person's information who owns it now, how long they own it, and all that, that's going to be important. Now, as a young man, if I don't have a lot of budget, then I got to do these things by hand, which is fine. You're on the county side, you're just one by one copy and pasting this information, put it into a spreadsheet, and do 20 to 50 a day. Now, if I have more money, then I'll use a service like DataTree or PropStream or ListSource or whatever it is, and just put in my criteria, put in the filters, get a nice little list, and now I'm already off to the races. All right, so I'll have a week to get that started because it's going to take some time. I mean, not more for people who are new to this than it is for me to actually find out what area they want before they can put that list together. All right, now what I'm going to do next is understand, all right, now that I have a hard date of when I need to have the areas in the list, or at least a beginning of a list ready, I'm going to actually put a soft date on when I want to get a property by. Now, I say a soft date because it's kind of hard to predict if you're going to get the property by a certain date in a totally brand new area. You don't know if your research is going to lead you to a perfect offer range, or if you're still going to have to figure it out after a couple of tries. Now, if I'm younger and I have less income, I'm going to do a lot more texting. Why? Because not only is that cheaper, but I get information a lot faster. So when people are applying, they're going to let you know if the price ranges that you're looking at are going to be accurate or not, or at least accurate enough where people will like, yeah, I'll consider it, or yeah, I'll negotiate with you. You know, they may not just take it right away. I mean, they do oftentimes, but they may not. But if they're like, yeah, I'll work with you and without saying so many words, then you're kind of in the right ballpark. But if they're saying, I want $300,000, $400,000 for property that's assessed for $3,600, then you know, these people are delusional, but the price wasn't close enough to what they wanted to even get them to be serious. Now, just because they're not serious doesn't mean that your research was wrong, but just understanding that. And that's why I say it's a soft date. So normally what I would do is like, hey, I give myself a month, 4 weeks to get at least one property. That's every day doing the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is a budget, or not even a budget, but like a time estimate, a time budget. Because every day I'm going to be doing a little something. I'm either going to be adding to the list or contacting people from that list. And if I'm doing things on the cheap, because I'm a young person with a lot more energy and time, then I'll skip trace the names myself. There's websites like truepeoplesearch.com. There's another website, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but if you type in like automatic skip tracing or something like that, a couple of different websites that are free that you can use. Now you got to do things one at a time. You can't just input a list and get it back. You can if you certain things you pay for, but in general, one at a time, and you just have different numbers. So that's what I would do. I'll start doing that. Now, so far, am I making sense? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments if this is making sense. All right. So again, we're talking about how we started. I want to have this in my life. This is how I want to live my life. Now I got to understand how am I going to get there. Now I'm making an action plan, and I'm putting hard dates on it. And then on one areas and soft dates where I can't really predict what will happen, but it's going to get me going. Now, this is important. The reason why you want to do dates, it's kind of like putting a little bit of pressure on you and giving you an idea of what the hell you're doing. Because think of it this way. If I said to you, look, I want to go lose some weight, I want to lose weight. I'm not really clear or specific on how much weight I want to lose or when I want to lose it by. What's the odd that I'm going to lose any weight? The odds are pretty low. I may lose a couple pounds because of the initial rush and excitement of starting something different, but the odds of me actually sticking to that, it ain't going to happen. But if let's say, oh my God, in June, we're taking a family trip to some beautiful beach in Hawaii. I definitely don't want to be in a t-shirt in Hawaii. I want to be able to show, the chesticles. I want to make sure I'm looking good. Oh, it's already, what's the date? Oh, today is January, 26th. Man, all right, well, I don't have a lot of time, to really lose the weight and sculpt muscle and this and that. So now I have a hard deadline. And guess what it's going to do to my motivation, especially in those days where it's the middle of February, it's still cold, I'm tired, I'm sore, my workout buddy doesn't want to, they don't want to get up. I have something that I can work toward because I'm like, look, I don't have the time to procrastinate. I got to lose a certain amount. I got to build a certain amount of muscle. It happens along with our businesses as well. When you don't have these deadlines, it's very easy to let things just happen like it feels like it's out of your control. Does that make sense? And that's going to be the key right there. Having an actual deadline of getting an area to invest in, and when you're going to actually start doing stuff, and having like a soft deadline for things that you can't predict or you can't control is going to help. Now, don't go crazy with the deadlines. We got to be realistic, but we can't be a wimp either. All right. So I think a week to find an area or 3 is more than enough time. You only really need an hour or 2, but we'll give yourself a week if you're brand new to this. And maybe part of that week is doing some initial texting and seeing if people are responding to you or not. Or maybe it's calling the county one day and just like, oh, I want to look for property that fits these criteria, that work, things like that. So a week, give yourself a month or by the end of the month to actually start to get some property with constant effort every day. Now, the next part of this whole thing is creating a budget for your investing. This is what I would do if I'm starting over. Now, what I want to make sure that you understand is that when I first did this, I didn't have a budget. I just started throwing money at stuff. And I was like, at the end of the day, it ended up working, but I wasn't as efficient and I didn't feel good or like I had any control over my investing or the business. Because if I'm not in control of how much I'm spending and like understanding why I'm spending certain dollar amounts and things like that for mailers or, things like that, it's kind of hard to understand how much I should be investing and how much I should be making. Hopefully you guys understood that, because the more I can understand where I'm going, the more I can understand how I should be getting there. So if I'm going to go to New York from California, it's probably not a bad idea to take an airplane as opposed to just trying to wing it and walking there or hitchhiking or driving, right? Now, obviously you can do all of those things. You can hitchhike, walk, or drive from California to New York, but how long is it going to take you? How many wrong turns will you make? How much time will you waste just doing that, as opposed to understanding where you are and then figuring out a way to get there? Now, if I don't have a lot of money for the airplane ticket, do I just drive? No. Just bring me to my next point, making a couple more money making activities. You can do some temporary work, especially these days, Uber Eats, DoorDash, TaskRabbit. I don't know, there's probably some other things I'm thinking about. That's just online, let alone the being a handyman for people around your area, around your neighborhood, babysitting, dog walking, dog sitting, all these things that you can do to make a couple bucks just to help you build up your war chest so you can actually afford that quote unquote plane ticket from Cali to New York. And our purposes, that's just a little bit more money to invest or a little bit more money to send out mailers, to send out text messages, and to do other things that the business kind of needs. And if I was a young person, I'll just do a lot more of those side hustle things because I have the energy to do it. As an older person, then I got to figure out other ways or just sell some shit. There's a lot of shit behind me. As you see, I got books, I got Goku, I got, Sean Livingston up there. There's so many things I could sell if I actually needed the money. And if I don't do that and I'm expecting things to just happen magically, well, then I'm delusional and full of crap. All right. So that's the thing. You got to make sure you're ready to actually put in that sweat equity to get the war chest up a little bit if necessary. If you already have the money, then great. You don't have to plan for that. But that all goes to your budgeting. Now, we're going to take that budget and make sure it fits with the area that we want to invest in. So, for example, if I have $2,000 to invest, I'm not going to look at like a property in Hawaii, like at Waikiki Beach. There's no way I'm getting a property in that area for $2,000. It's just not going to happen. But if I go to a rural part of Texas or Louisiana or Arkansas, oh yeah, I have a lot of options in those areas. So I'm going to pick an area that's going to fit my budget. And I do know I should be looking at property that is on the current market right now on sale for people for about 3 to 4 times of what I can afford to invest. So if I see a property that's selling for $8,000, then I know I can buy something around there off market for around $2,000. That making sense? I'm gonna find a couple areas just like this and make sure it fits, right? It's all fits within my week time frame of finding the area. It's all fit within like by the end of the month or the following 3 weeks or however you want to do it to actually get a property. All right. So far, is this making sense? Just want to make sure I haven't gone on anybody's head. I'm trying to keep it relevant, but also show how it can be this framework could be universal to a lot of things that you apply to your life. Now, as I'm creating a budget, I'm also going to be looking to see how I'm going to portion my daily income. As in, like if I have a 9-to-5 job, what percentage of my paycheck is going to bills, to food, to rent, to all those things, and what percentage is going to investing? Can I automate that process? Meaning have my bank account automatically divvy up the money and send a certain amount? Because most likely for most of us, our paychecks are more or less the same every month. Automatically put $300 here, $200 there, $500 here, and just have that thing done automatically and have an investing account that I can use to buy property or buy my, mailing supplies or whatever I need. So without doing that, it's very easy to overrun your budget. And now you're actually doing things that's going to put your regular house, your food, and all that in danger because you overstepped the boundaries. So having that budget, everything set automatically should help. Now, here's one other thing that you should really do. After you do this, you got your budget, you got your area that you want to do, you know how much you should be sending out, mailers and all that. And if you don't, oops, I don't know what I just did, but if you don't know how much you should be sending out every day, make sure that it's probably should be, if you're doing texting, around 100 a day. Texting is much cheaper than it is to send mail. And I say 100 because it takes, not every text that you send is going to get through, as in like some numbers aren't going to be correct. Some people just won't respond, things like that. The people who do respond, might not be the right person, right? You look for John Smith, but somebody else like, yeah, this ain't John Smith, sorry. So you got to account with that. And it's going to be people who say, yeah, I want to sell my property for $1 million, and they're high on crack. And then so it doesn't leave you a lot of people who are like going to be serious about entertaining your actual offers. So about 100 a day will give you enough to get something going, but not so much you're overwhelmed with responses. Now, if you're going to do offer letters and offer postcards, that just kind of depends on the area, how much you have to invest in just mail. They're both different. So this depends. It just totally depends. So you just got to work within your budget. But the more offers you put out there, no matter if you're texting or doing mail, the higher the chance you're going to get something happening very soon. All right. So we got an area. We know how much we should be texting or mailing or whatever it is. We have a budget. We have a plan of what we're trying to get to now. Time to have the men separated from the boys and women separated from the girls. Next step in this is tell somebody. Tell somebody what you're going to do in your plan. Now, I'm not saying you guys say I'm going to be making millions of dollars. I'm going to be doing this. I'm big balling out of control. It could just be like, hey, look, by this date, I'm supposed to have a county or two picked out. And then by this following date, I'm looking to have at least my first property in the area, right? And you're telling people that because that does two things to you. Number one, in your own mind, now that you said it out loud to somebody, it holds you to a higher standard. It's just the way humans work. Like when we keep things inside and internally, it's very easy to like lie to ourselves, like, well, if it doesn't happen, like, oh, it didn't, whatever, it's not that important, or I'll get it next time or whatever. But when it's out loud, we have a need to be very congruent with what we say. Like it's physically uncomfortable for us to say something and do the opposite. Not that it's impossible, not that people don't do that every day, but in general, when you give somebody an actual concrete thing that you're trying to do and you don't do it, it's one thing if you tried and you just fail. That's different than you don't do it at all. It's a totally different feeling. And to avoid discomfort as humans, we do pretty much anything, including what the hard work is that we need to do. So telling somebody that, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, that's going to be good. But if you don't have that, just write a Facebook post, put it on Instagram, put it out there. Be man or woman enough to actually say, yeah, I did the work internally. I'm ready to actually go for this and then make it happen. All right. So now, last thing, figure out what skills you're going to need to really make this happen faster. You need to write better ads. You need to get better on the phone. You need to be more organized. You need to be more diligent with your work. Figure out what you need and see how you can do that. Do you need a book? Do you need to just sit down and focus? Most likely, no, that's not going to be enough. Maybe a book, maybe a course, maybe just getting help from an outside party that's better at these things than you. Figure out what you may need in some of these areas to help you actually achieve the goals by the time you set them. Because without that, you're going to do nothing. Now, as you can see, like what I talked about here in land investing, it's not radically, it's pretty much the same shit that I would do before. I just know better of how to make sure I don't procrastinate now. I know better how to not let fear stop me from doing the daily grind. I know better how to keep myself or how to hack my brain into doing the things I need to have done every day, so I don't hinder my own progress, because I've already done those things. I procrastinated. I've stopped myself for stupid reasons. I've made things more difficult on myself for dumb reasons. I know how to avoid those things now. So that's why a lot of it has to do with that. It's less to do with what to do, because what to do is pretty simple. It's how do I make sure I do it every day? The time deadlines, having someone hold you accountable, things like that, that all helps. Now, if your time deadline is very strict, because it's not just about getting stuff started, but like how much money you need to make to that lifestyle. Like, hey, I want to be out of my job in 5-6 months. Well, guess what? You're not going to be able to do that solo unless you have a ton of experience doing this already. You're going to need someone to help. You're going to need a coach. You're going to need, it ain't going to be a course. It's got to be someone that's going to be there doing that accountability for you the same way the accountability buddy would, helping you kind of make those goals, helping you make those deadlines, helping you understand the consequences of your actions if you don't do those things. And not just because, you didn't do it, you didn't make the money, but how other things in your life will be impacted from the work that you did not do. That's what coaching is all about. Of course, you're going to learn certain things, but here's the thing. No matter what, it's going to be tough. And a lot of you guys are going to fail at this, which is okay. As long as you gave it a real effort, that's okay. But a lot of you guys are going to fail. It's going to take a lot of time and effort. There are no guarantees. You can do everything I said in this thing and still nothing will happen to you. The same way there's no guarantees in a quote unquote American dream, right? You can use this information or not use this information. And now you just waste your time listening to me tell you what to do. And then you did nothing with it. So my question is this, did I scare you away? Because if I did, good. Land investing ain't for you. Planning big ain't for you. But for those of you that are serious and you want me to help you with your plan, to understand what you want out of life, to help you understand how to get it, how to fund that with land investing, put pay dirt in the comments. I'll hit you up. I'll tell you exactly. We'll go over a plan together of how you can actually make this going, make this happen, with time deadlines and all the shit, so you can make shit happen. If that's something that means something to you, put pay dirt in the comments. We're going to be good. But if you just like listening to me talk, well, then I don't know why. I mean, my voice is okay, but whatever. But yeah, any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, as long as we're good. But yeah, if I had to start over, that's how I would do it. I would be a lot more focused and determined. I would do what I can to make sure I don't let the fears and insecurities and all that create procrastination and just self-sabotage, and just stay focused on my goal, keeping the big picture in mind, meaning the goal, the lifestyle that I want, how quickly I want to get there, having those time deadlines and make sure I keep myself on the straight and narrow. And then if it's an aggressive timeline, getting a coach or mentor to keep me there and it kind of help me learn faster with less mistakes, because I can just leverage their information, their mistakes, and not make them myself. All right, well, that's it. It's Coach Vic. Hope you guys have a good day. Again, if you want my help getting this done, as in making the plan, figuring out what to do and executing it, put pay dirt in the comments. I'll hit you up below. All right, that's it for me. Peace.